In this video, I'm going to talk you through some of the common mistakes that people make when they are pronouncing French words. There are lots of E's in French which have an acute accent on them. An acute accent is when it's going up the hill. If you see an E with this kind of accent on it, it's not actually pronounced like an E anymore. In French, it is pronounced like A. On the screen, you have some examples, such as aimer, parler, manger, écouter, and préférer. So whenever you see an E with an acute accent, make sure you pronounce it as A, not simply as E. We also use the same A sound when we have ERs in French. Now you most commonly see these on the end of infinitives. So for example, manger, to eat, parler, to talk, and chanter, to sing. There are lots of words in French which have silent endings. It's quite rare for French to pronounce the endings of words, particularly if they end with a consonant. So the words on the screen, we don't pronounce the letters which are underlined in yellow. For example, the first one, we pronounce it trop, not trop. We basically just ignore the P when we pronounce it, just giving us trop. The same for the second one, just beneath it. We pronounce it long, not lent, but long. For verbs as well, which end with a vowel, we do not pronounce it. For example, joue, not jouent. The same can be said of temps, where we don't pronounce the P or the S, we just simply say temps. And finally, fort. We do not pronounce the T in this case. We just ignore it and pretend that there's an F-O-R, fort. However, if the word ends with a vowel, then we do pronounce the consonant which comes just before it. So on the previous slide, we had fort, strong, when we're describing a man. But if we're describing a girl, we have to add an E to the end. And now we do pronounce the T, so we say forte. The next word, trompette, ends with an E, so we pronounce the T's, trompette. If we were describing a male as being funny or amusing, we would say amusant. But when we're describing a girl, we add an E, and now we have to pronounce the T, giving us amusante. And the same can be said with méchante. We say méchante for a girl because it ends with an E, but if it was a boy, we would simply say méchant because it ends with a T. Sometimes in French, we contract two words together because there are some clashing vowels. This happens quite often with the word que. So, for example, the sentence on the screen, la voiture qu'elle a achetée, means the car which she has bought. Really, this que that's underlined in yellow started life as Q-U-E, but because the word that immediately follows it is L, we have two E's clashing. So French gets rid of the E and replaces it with a apostrophe, because otherwise we would have something quite difficult to say. We would have to say la voiture qu'elle a achetée, which doesn't flow very well, so instead we use a contraction. It's very important then when you're pronouncing French that you make sure that you do say these two words as one. So we would say la voiture qu'elle a achetée rather than qu'elle. You simply say in one fluid movement, qu'elle, not qu'elle. Words in French that have an I and an L aren't pronounced il. We simply pronounce it as E. So people very commonly mispronounce the word famille and they try and say it as famille or something like that. But really it's just famille. And the same can be said with the word for nice or kind. It's gentil, not gentil. We simply say E for the I and the L. Here are a few final ones that I hear very, very often, and these words are very, very common. So try to avoid making these mistakes. The French word for and is pronounced a, not et. It's simply a. The verb is, such as he is and she is, it does look like est, but it's actually also pronounced a. For example, elle est timide, she is shy. The word what often causes problems because it's very long, and I hear all kinds of variations on this. I've heard things like qu'est-ce que, when actually it's far simpler than that. You simply say qu'est-ce que. There's only really two syllables to it. Qu'est-ce que, not qu'est-ce que, but qu'est-ce que. And the same with the final one. eske, not est sucker, but simply 2 syllables, eske.